Alex has been killed. This is the fourth example I'm going to give. We're talking about 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, verses 9 and 10. And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I would rather boast about my weakness than the power of Christ, that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Therefore, I am well content with weaknesses, with insults, with distresses, with persecutions, with difficulties, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Paul is talking here and proceeding about how God uses our tough times, our suffering. We're to suffer in humility. How God can use that for His greater purpose. Many amazing things have happened to Karen and I during this past 15 months. One of them was we got to meet with President Bush. We actually spent 45 minutes alone with him on Air Force One. And to put this in context a little bit, remember the Greensburg tornado? That was on a Friday night. Our son's body was flown back on Sunday, that Sunday afternoon, 2 days later. So we were kind of oblivious to what was going on in the outside world. Alex was buried on Tuesday. And Bush was here, President Bush was here, I think on that Thursday or Friday to go see everything out there at Greensburg. Well, Karen and I said he owes us a visit. He needs to come and see us. And he didn't. So we were pretty angry with him. So, within a few days after that, Karen had read in the paper that President Bush was coming here to town for a fundraiser for one of our U.S. senators. So she goes, he needs to see us. Not we need to see him. He needs to see us. Okay? And again, this is not a political speech. So she called our casualty assistance officer. And the CAO, Casualty Assistance Officer, is the intermediary between the military and the families. And these men and women, they're not trained in this specifically. Our Casualty Assistance Officer is a finance officer, a non-commissioned officer. This had been the first one he'd been called on to do this situation. So this poor guy, just imagine, he's showing up to a house experiencing something like this. You know, just Sergeant Hill. Yeah. So Karen called him up. We got to know him for the first week. We saw him every day. Spent a lot of time with him. We adopted him, if you will, in our family. And so after she heard that President Bush was going to be back here at a fundraiser, she called him up and said, we want to meet with President Bush. Make it happen. Okay? Now, can you picture him hanging up the phone, going, where's my manual that tells me how to make this happen? So, his credit, he stuck with everything. He made the calls he needed to make. And the Thursday night before he was in town, we received a call from the White House that yes, he was going to meet with us. And that we were to meet with him the next afternoon, Friday afternoon at 2:55. Well, we thought we were going to get 5 minutes with him. And they said, no, as much time. We're still thinking 2:55, 3 o'clock, something's happening today, so we're going to get 5 minutes. So, and I'm going to cut this story very short. But we get down there per their request 45 minutes early, and our meeting was on Air Force One. So we got there early and got a tour of the aircraft and all that sort of stuff. This is where they do this, this is where they do that. You know, Karen and Gloria actually got to go in and kind of do their last makeup in his bathroom on Air Force One. Okay? So, I know that all sounds funny, but when you look at it this way, what was the reason we saw him? It wasn't because our son saved 20 men. It's because he was killed. So kind of keep that in perspective when I'm telling the story. It's something you'd rather not do. So anyway, we meet in the Oval Office on Air Force One. And I was actually more nervous about talking to you all today than I was meeting him. And the reason is, God had told Karen that we were supposed to meet with her. And we weren't sure why. And I'm not going to go into all that right now. But there was a reason we were to meet with him. The only 2 times I was nervous was the aircraft was at Boeing, and when we went around this one building, all of a sudden you see the nose of Air Force One. I got a little nervous then. And then the second time when they said, you know, when he comes off the plane down that 4 steps, his office is right behind there. So they said he's on the steps coming up. That was the second time I got nervous. The reason I wasn't any more nervous was because we had a message for him. And again, that part I'm not going to go into right now, but we did pray for him. I did pray for him. We had been talking about 30 minutes about this, that, and the other thing. And I said, President Bush, I'd like to pray for you. Now, I'm not Billy Graham. I'm not even Tom Rosoff. But yet, God wanted me to pray for you. Folks, I'm not bragging when I say that. So he got out of his chair, and the 4 of us, Gloria, Karen, and I, President Bush, held hands, and I prayed for him. And I prayed, and again, I didn't have a prophetic word, but I prayed for his marriage. It was a high-stress job. He and Laura really get to talk like they once did. Prayed for that. And then I also prayed that for the next 18 months that he had in office, that the answers to the questions he had would come to him. And the thought that I had in my head was, picture an icebreaker going through the ice. The ice just cracks and opens up right when the icebreaker gets there. So I wasn't praying that the answers would come in 2 weeks before he needed them, but that he would get the answers just in time. Okay. Now, to put this in perspective, and to some of you older folks who know Paul Harvey, there is a rest of the story. And what that story is, at that time, I was involved in Father's Storehouse there. We met on Thursday nights. And what we would do is, if people would come in, we'd give them some food. Before that, we would pray for them. That was one of the prayer counts. So on that night, there was this one lady who had been coming for 3 years. Well, I didn't pray for her all the time, but this night I did. And how she supported herself was by doing dumpster diving. She would go and find aluminum cans. So she's telling me for 2 or 3 minutes per day. Now just imagine going home to your spouse or whoever and ask, how did your day go? And you tell them how your day went. She's telling me her story. Well, at this ballpark, they let me in and I get first chance at all the cans before the other people. At this golf course, they won't let me in at all. Matter of factly, that's how her day went. So, within 24 hours, God had me praying for, in essence, a homeless person, and then for President of the United States. What a message to receive, that all are important. Yeah, that's God, I hope. And it's like, wow,